It's hard to believe that this little thing can turn in... Wait. Ew, this is a radish. Gross. It's hard to believe that this little thing can turn into a plant that can feed you, your family, and... I don't know, a goat? Well, you can be the goat in your own garden. It's easy to start seeds indoors with containers, water, soil, and some light, and I'll show you how to start seeds indoors now while it still looks like that outside. Let's first take a closer look. The seed itself is in a dormant stage. Basically, it's sleeping. Most seeds need water, air, and the right temperature to get started, so let's look inside. There's the embryo, which is the baby plant, food storage of proteins and carbohydrates to begin germination, and we also see the radicle, or the embryonic root, which will push down into the soil to form the main roots of the plant. There's the cotyledons. These are the first leaves that you'll see coming out of the ground, sometimes called seed leaves. Did you know the noble bean seed has 2 cotyledons? That makes it a dicot. The corn seed, on the other hand, has 1 cotyledon, and that makes it a monocot. Think about that. And then embryonic leaves, which will form the first true leaves of the plant. As the seed takes in water, it expands and enzymes are activated. In this stage, the embryo enlarges and the seed coat breaks off. The stem then shoots up, forms its true leaves for energy from the sun, photosynthesis, then it blooms, then it fruits, and then it's time for harvest. Calm down, it's just a cartoon. It may be tempting, but just buy enough seeds to get you through the next 2 or 3 growing cycles. I usually try to use my seeds within that time frame, and this year I'm going to try to follow my advice. I only grow heirloom seeds because they've been passed down through generations, and it's fun to try new varieties to see what works best in my microclimate. And with heirlooms, as you test out a crop that you end up liking, you can start saving the seeds, but that's another video. Be sure to store your seeds in a container to protect it from the air and humidity. You can see what I'm doing this year to store my seeds at the link above. Now, most people will probably buy those seed starting trays that you see at any hardware store. They're only good for 1 season, so don't be most people. Use fiber pots instead. You can get them in all sizes, and they even come in those individual cells, just like the plastic versions. Because they can go right in the ground, they will decompose on their own, and it's especially helpful for those tender annuals like cucumbers and squash, which typically don't really transplant well. If your pots don't come with a tray, you can use a boot tray. They are anywhere from $2 to $10. Yes, they're for your boots, but they're way sturdier than those plastic crinkly seed trays you typically get at the store. There's a variety of sizes, some have higher sides, so when it comes time to transplant, all your pots will stay upright, and you don't have to worry about one side or the other collapsing and then losing all your transplants on the way out. So I would definitely recommend these boot trays. Again, they're around $2 to $10, and they're worth their money. When it comes to soil, buy some good seed starting mix. I mean, if you have the time, you could gather some compost, vermiculite, perlite, peat moss, and make your own potting soil, but not today's season. So I've had good experience with Miracle-Gro, so that's what I'm gonna be using this year. And no, before you ask, they're not a sponsor. I only have 2 subscribers, but they could be. So this formulation is peat moss, perlite, fertilizer, and a wetting agent, whatever that is. But because it's not real soil, it's porous enough for the seeds to really get their good start. So because the base of this is peat moss, you'll actually want to wet it first. As you can see, it's super dusty if you don't. And this thing, and this typically absorbs a lot of water, so you'll want to get an extra bucket, add some water to it, or you can even put water right in the bag, mix it all up until it's moist, and then put it in your pots. So following germination, seeds obviously need some light. But the windowsill is not the best option, especially if you live in a cold climate, since our seeds need warmth, and that coolness from the window could affect how well they do. Now typically seedlings need 12 to 16 hours of light to get started. You can use a digital, manual, or smart home timer to control when those lights turn on and off. Now if you use fluorescent tubes, you actually don't need the advertised grow light versions. A combination of cool white and daylight work just fine, and you really just place it about 2 inches above your seedlings to start, and then just move it up as the plants grow. This year I am using a white LED grow light panel, and even though LEDs are cool to the touch, they're actually much stronger than they look. Now because the LEDs are so strong, this recommends placing it at least 2 feet above the plants. So I'll start there and then move it up even higher if I see any indications of light bleaching or burning of the seedlings. For any LEDs you buy, be sure to check the recommended height between the plants and the light source. Be sure to keep your potting soil moist when those seeds are first starting, but not wet. You don't want sitting water in the bottom of the pots or any of the trays. You can even use a spray bottle to gently moisten the pots and not wash the seeds away to the sides of the pot. Now seeds use their own energy to get started. Remember those proteins and carbs. So fertilizer is not needed for germination, but the plant will use it when those first true leaves form, and there's some already in my seed mix. So I use a grow tent and a thermostat controlled heater to keep the tent at about 70 degrees. Some seeds can also benefit from a seed mat. You just plug it in and it provides some extra warmth to the bottom of the plants. Just don't plug it in to the same timer as your lighting, because you'll want that warmth on all the time. So I don't typically use the seedling mats. I probably would if I had multiple tiers of plants, but they say that the seed mat can contribute to additional warmth in the soil, especially if your pots are a lot shallower than typically the ones I use. So one of the big questions is, when do you start your seeds? Here in zone 4B, I typically start my seeds for peppers and tomatoes in early spring. First, look on your seed packet to see how many weeks before the last frost that you should start the seeds. Now here, this is 8 weeks, so I know my average frost date is around Mother's Day. So if I backtrack that, that'll take me to about mid-March, where I need to get these in a pot and started with germination. Once you know your last frost date, you can also enter the date into a seed starting calculator such as this one from Johnny's Seeds. I'll put the link in the description. As you approach the time for transplanting, you'll want to start setting your seedlings outdoors about 2 weeks before the final transplanting time. Hardening off your plants will help them get acclimated to the full power of the sun. So each afternoon when it's warm out, set your transplants out for a few hours in a shady, warm spot and protected from the sun. Each day you'll put them in more of the direct sunlight, and by the end of the 2 weeks, they're ready for transplanting. Now, if you can, you'll probably want to transplant them on a cloudy day, or maybe protect them with a row cover, because that full brightness of the sun, you could see some wilting, but they will typically bounce back in 24 hours or so. Let me know if you have any tips for starting seeds. Until next time, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. God, I've sold my soul.
Not today, Satan.